Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Forecast. I'm StormTrakcer8 Chief Meteorologist Matt Denora. Great to be with you this afternoon, but you know I'm not doing this alone. Here he is, the man, the myth, the legend, Tyler Hall. Tyler, how are you this afternoon?
Not too bad, Matt. Not too bad. I got to say, the ongoing ice in the neighborhoods is certainly no joke.
Yeah.
Getting into work this morning, had to pull out the ice scraper, the apartment complex parking lots, my parking lot and other parking lots are still really very icy right now.
One of the things that we're noticing is, we're getting up to like 32, 33 every day. And so the sun is pretty decent. It's giving us that little top layer melting.
Right.
But then we're back down to 10, 11, 12 at night, and it's refreezing. So we're just getting more and more of that glaze is building.
Right.
We really need a lot of sand on things to give traction. I was noticing that in my area today. All right, Tyler, let's kick into this here. First of all, we do have a question that came in late yesterday. When are normal temperatures predicted that will hopefully melt this ice? That's from Margaret. Margaret, we want you to stay tuned because that is part of our discussion as we go through today, whether we will get back to normal or not, or what kind of melting there might be. So just something to keep in mind. All right, here's where we are. Key points that we're going to be talking about today. Number one, what everybody wants to know is dun dun dun. There we go. Another weekend storm. And tomorrow's question: when will we thaw out? So, of course, we are going to start right away with that weekend storm because it is the number one topic on everyone's mind. This morning, really late last night, as I was looking through the models and trying to figure out what was going on in terms of the exact amounts for people, I had a very similar map to this, and if you joined us at 11 p.m. last night, even 6 p.m. last night, I said this would be an area for minor accumulations, considerable, and significant. That was the map that I ended up with, and then left a long note for Jessica talking about things, and she called me early this morning, and we discussed. And Tyler, you've been looking at the data.
Yeah.
There has been a pretty significant reduction in the amount of moisture in some of the models.
Yeah, for sure. And the main American, European, they have come way down versus 24 hours ago. And then the shorter range models, which we're going to get into as well, they have come down. But there has been a focus, as you see here in this map, for southern and southeastern Virginia to get the quote-unquote jackpot areas for snow. So 4 inches or more possible, even out for areas by Virginia Beach and potentially all the way down into the Outer Banks of North Carolina, which would be remarkable to see accumulating snow on the beach.
Yeah, for sure. And the other thing with this, too, I'm going to leave this up for just a second. As this storm rapidly deepens, we're going to see this in the models, late Saturday night and throughout the day Sunday, it is going to become crazy windy here. So this is going to be a very fine, powdery snow. Tyler, we've been talking about the snow ratios, and we'll discuss that as well. And along the coast, we could see in Metro Richmond and most of Central Virginia, possibly gusts up to 40 miles per hour. And along the coast, we may have gusts up to 50 to 55 miles per hour. This is going to be a howling storm. So
it is.
Yeah, not good in that respect here. You came up with this, and I think this is just a beautiful thing to discuss, the winter storm timeline. I'll let you roll on this one here.
Yeah, so, we did the same thing for last weekend. But, again, a big difference between last weekend and this weekend is the fact that this upcoming weekend, it's going to be an all-snow event. I was looking at 850 millibar temperatures in several models and obviously at the surface, and it's going to be cold not only at the surface, obviously, but upstairs, a little bit above us, 6,000 feet or so. And that'll support snow breaking out after 7 p.m. on Friday evening, Friday night. Really starts to ramp up Saturday morning during the daybreak hours. And it'll be continuing basically the entire day, light to moderate snow throughout the day on Saturday. And then it's going to be wrapping up all together early Sunday morning and pulling away from us. Now, of course, later on this evening and tomorrow morning, we may get some, adjusted kind of approximate timing here. Right. So this may be tweak just a little bit. But basically, late Friday night into early Sunday morning is what we're looking at here, Matt.
Yeah, no, and I think this is perfect. You know, people are going to get excited. They're going to start to see those flurries early on Friday. Like, the storm's starting early. It really isn't. It's just there's going to be some moisture in the air. The air, by the way, will be relatively dry. That's why it's going to start off as some flurries. But that light to steady snow really kicking in Saturday morning, as you said, about the daybreak hours. And then it's going to come down at a good clip. It's not going to be pouring buckets of snow, but a good clip. And again, because it's going to be so powdery and because we have had this Arctic air in place, everything is going to be frozen. So it's going to accumulate right away.
Yeah, it's going to stick to the ground and accumulate very, very quickly. And obviously travel is going to be heavily, not recommended on Saturday. Right. But if you have to be out and about, you have to do it extremely slowly, right, on Saturday across the area.
All right, so on the big picture here, you see that little band of snow dropping from Montana right through the Dakotas into Nebraska. That is the upper level weather system, if you will. We call it a vortex, kind of sliding on through. And then you see the surface reflection of that, which is the low that's sitting now in eastern Oklahoma.
Right.
Those two will get a little tighter and then move into the southern portions of the Tennessee Valley, northern Georgia in the next 24 hours, and that will help to develop our storm. And yesterday, Tyler, we were talking about this because a big change going over to that Miller B. And while looking at this map, if you want to kind of discuss that, that's all cool too.
Yeah, so basically, earlier this week, we were thinking a developing low was going to develop over the Gulf and then head over Florida and then right up the East Coast. Well, that is not what we've been seeing the last 24 hours in the models. Instead, a developing low is going to be pushing on through the Ohio and Tennessee valleys to end out the work week and heading into the weekend. And then it's going to, as Matt said, strengthen off of the North Carolina and Virginia coasts late in the weekend, as you'll see later on here as well.
Yeah,
so
I'm going to bring up the, for some reason my iPad is just having, so guys, we use an iPad to switch the graphics, and for some reason, every time I hit it, it's just not clicking. So
yeah, I've been noticing that too,
I'm like, thunk, thunk, thunk. Anyway, so let's talk about this, right? So there is the storm as we're starting off Friday evening at 5 p.m. I'm going to bring this up full so people can kind of see this. We're going to walk you through this Futurecast model. Then we're going to go look at the physical models that some of you might be seeing, and we'll talk about some of the discrepancies between them, right? So that low from East Oklahoma slides into northern sections of Georgia, and you see the snow that's stretching from Kentucky, Tennessee into western Virginia. That's that little vortex I was talking about that was coming out of Montana and across the Dakotas. So there is your first signs if the air gets moist enough for some flurries as we go into Friday evening, Friday night. But what I want you to watch here, and I'm going to bring Tyler back up here. Tyler, you can see the way that rain is blossoming off of the South Carolina, North Carolina coast, kind of south and east of Wilmington.
Right.
That will be our developing new system, our new low.
Yeah, and as the weekend evolves, this low is going to continue to deepen and strengthen. And coastal North Carolina, coastal Virginia, they're going to be in for some very windy conditions on top of the precip, obviously.
Yeah, that's the thing there. When we look at the models, we'll look at the pressure that's going to be developed by this thing.
Yeah.
You've heard the term, was used quite a bit yesterday, bomb cyclone. It's what we call in meteorology, as you know, Tyler, bombogenesis or cyclogenesis. It's a rapid deepening of a system along the coast. It hits that Gulf, and it just goes boom, and just really flies up here. All right, so here we are. Bring that back full screen. Saturday morning, 8 o'clock, and you can see light snow to moderate snow across most of North Carolina. We do think at this point this is working into southern Virginia. And then certainly, as Tyler said, in his timeline throughout the afternoon, you could see that light to steady snow continuing 1 o'clock in the afternoon and then all the way through Saturday afternoon. Notice where those deeper blues are. Approaching Norfolk, approach the eastern sections of North Carolina, some residual areas in the upstate region of South Carolina, Tyler.
Yeah, and that's remarkable here because remember the last weekend storm, it rode right over us, and the Carolinas were dealing with a lot of ice and cold rain. This time around, based on the position of where this low is going to set up and the fact that there's already a lot of Arctic air in place, the Carolinas are going to be in for some accumulating snow, just like southern Virginia is in particular.
Yeah, for sure. All right, continue on here. We go into the overnight hours of Saturday into early Sunday. We're starting to see, this is Saturday, 8 p.m., really good snow south and east of Richmond. We're kind of on the edge of that light snow there. And then finally, you're going to start to see this low and this going to start to pull off to the south and east. And here we are, 4 a.m. To 6 a.m., kind of ending across Metro Richmond, still going there in eastern and southeastern Virginia, but pulling away. And what I want you to know is, Tyler, you can see this there. I know it's a little tight, but look at the lines. We have those wind barbs up there. Look at how many there are along the coast. This is why this is going to be a real windy storm. Again, that's the simplified version. We'll show you the mechanics in the models in just a second.
Right. So basically, a very strong coastal weather system here is going to be exiting our region by Sunday morning. But Hampton Roads, the Outer Banks, they are going to be seeing howling winds on Sunday.
Yeah, they really, really are. So pretty incredible stuff. All right, let's we're going to switch up the maps here. Let's make sure that Matty D can do this right. I'm sure I'll mess this up. Oh, we got it right. Hallelujah, as they say. Okay, so this is one of the first models we're going to look at. So I'm going to kind of explain this to our viewers so they understand. So when we're in a 5 to 7 day look, we're looking at those long range models. The long range models are kind of like the screen of this iPad. See all those little thumbnails? So those thumbnails are spaced, they're grid points, let's say, and they're spaced across the map, but they're really wide. So each grid point has a lot of the same data, but that allows us to process those models out 200, 300 hours and get you those crazy long-range ideas.
Yeah.
Once we get into 48 hours, 60 hours, 84 hours, we can start to look less at those long-range models because the grid point spacing is too wide. It's not fine resolution enough. It doesn't handle the real particulars well enough. And we go into our medium range and our short range models, which instead of the grids looking like this, I don't know if I can do this. Let's see if I can. Yes, I can. Come on. It's going to be like that. Lots of grid points on the, whoops, I hit something weird there. Let's grab that. There we go. Lots of grid points on the same screen. So a lot more little information that's really fine-tuned. And that's why you'll see numbers change drastically as we start to show you this. And some of the stuff we're going to show you is a complete miss for most of Virginia. So just something to keep in mind. These are models. They're not the gospel.
No.
They give us guidance. We have to be able to interpret that guidance. Okay. All right, here we go. This is the, I'll pull this up full. This is the 3K NAM, which came out this morning. This is the 12Z. You notice not a whole lot going on. This is this afternoon. I'm just going to roll this ahead. Now, this will not go out fully through the entire storm, but you'll get an idea of what's going on. We're now at 5 a.m. Friday. You start to see some of that light snow into Kentucky, Western Virginia, and even into West Virginia. Those are probably just flurries. Again, the air is super cold. We're now here at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and you see maybe some flurries. I would say, Tyler, that a lot of this, what we're seeing, is probably the air getting more moist and some clouds really beginning to thicken, not so much that we're seeing snow here.
Right. Kind of essentially what happened last Saturday. We had some people reaching out to us saying that they were seeing snow. But it ended up being flurries.
Right.
Hours before snow really picked up Saturday evening, Saturday night. You got to love technology, right?
I decided to put the thing down. I hit keyboards. I threw the whole thing away. Anyway, we'll continue on. You're correct, Tyler, yes.
But, so last Saturday, just looking back, we had hours of flurries.
Yeah.
But as the atmosphere moistened up, then we started to see accumulating snow. So that's what's going to be happening again this weekend. Late Friday evening, you may see some flurries, but it's not going to accumulate just yet because the atmosphere is dry, it's very cold, as Matt was saying, but then as we get into Saturday morning, the atmosphere will moisten up and we'll start to see accumulations picking up. Again, particularly for areas along and south of Interstate 64 and east of Interstate 85 are going to be those what I like to call the jackpot areas for seeing
Right.
some pretty good snow this weekend.
Now, I'm going to let you know, because I know you've been looking at the model since I pulled up the 3K NAM. There was a reason for me to do that because as we're going through here, we're now at 3 a.m. Saturday, going into 7 a.m. Saturday. What are you guys seeing? Y'all seeing what we're seeing? That there is no real snow in portions of Central Virginia, especially north of I-64. Everything's staying well south. So just something. Now, this model here is not fully grasping the bombogenesis along the coast. So this would be what we would call an outlier, something pretty interesting. If I show you the total QPF, yeah, I mean...
Nothing.
That is a huge miss. Again, this only goes till Saturday night.
Right.
But that is a very different outlook than what some of you saw in the past couple of days, people putting models out there that showed ridiculous amounts. And that's why we say you don't do that. All right, let's change it up for us. Let's go over. I'm going to just go kind of into...
I don't think the HRRR.
No, we'll go out far enough. But
it doesn't.
There's another model called the RRFS, which is actually going to replace the NAM in due time. And so let's kind of show you this one here. This one does a pretty decent job. This is an experimental model, so they're still building the data structure of it, tweaking the formulas, but you're able to still see it. So again, RRFS will replace the NAM either later this year or early next year. You're going to see those light flurries coming in. This is 11 a.m. Friday. Again, there's probably more thickening clouds across the region. Not really a whole lot happening. There's our old low, with the new low developing off the coast here. You can see the blow up of the rain. This is now at 2 a.m. Saturday morning, so heading into the early morning hours. You can see some light snow developing across most of Central Virginia, kind of along I-64, if you will. I'll kind of slide in there, right along I-64. We're going to continue on here, looking pretty snowy. It's pretty snowy for everything south of I-64. A couple of light flurries north of 64. The beach seeing some of the deeper blues. And then we'll just kind of roll this all the way out. I'm going to back it out so people can see. That thing just blew up here, by the way. I'm going to roll this back so people can see. When it first forms, that low is about 1,003. And that is as of 11 a.m. Saturday. I'm sorry to cut you off here, Tyler. I'll get you right there. And that's a 987. So it is dropping... 1,003, 987, 14 millibars, and that time frame, just so you know, is 6 p.m. So roughly in a 12-hour period, drops 14 millibars. That's what we call bombogenesis or rapid cyclogenesis.
Right, a rapidly deepening low-pressure system that gets stronger with time, and then as Matt and I talked about, it's going to be incredibly windy along the coast. And while that's happening, there's light to moderate snow ongoing for many hours in across the region on Saturday in particular.
Right, for sure. So here we are, Saturday night, 11 o'clock, snowing still pretty good. Light snow, say north of the capital city, along 64 and south. It certainly is better. As we get into early Sunday morning, here we are at 3 o'clock. Notice the dry air wedging on in, and this thing will shut off shortly thereafter. Here we are, 7 a.m., and it's ending from west to east rather quickly. By the way, these are the isobars we're talking about, right? Those being so packed, that's a really windy storm. But we're down to 977, so we continue to drop down, and then it moves away and off the coast. Now, this model, let's bring it up for you. This goes through the entire storm, has 0.3 moisture in Richmond, 0.4 moisture in Petersburg, 0.9 to 1.0 in areas like, say, Norfolk and Virginia Beach, right, and 0.6 out to Danville. Okay, so JB and I talked about this a lot yesterday, and we want to make this point really clear. When you see those numbers, that is the model not taking into account any evaporation, right? So there's going to be evaporation at the beginning of the storm because we get Virga before the first flakes come in, and then as the storm is ending, there's always drier air seeping in that takes away some of that last moisture. So there's an old school rule of thumb, which JB and I are old. You take about 8/10 of that physical moisture. Okay, so if we get in here, and I'm going to have to pick up the keyboard that I just dropped a few minutes ago, but that's nothing
Hopefully
new.
it's still working.
I'm sure it's working fine. Oh, we got a calculator right here. So
Cool.
if we just grab here, I do need this keyboard, and I do 0.3, right, times 0.8 for 80% of it, that gives me 0.24. We believe this will be a 15-to-1 minimum, probably 18-to-1 ratio because, as you talked about, Tyler, super cold aloft, right? So now we times that by 15.
Right.
We get 3.6 for Richmond.
Okay.
And again, our snowfall map, I'll stop our sequence here, and I'll go grab that, and I'll play that, and I'll bring that back up, is 2 to 4 for Richmond.
Yeah.
Right? So that's kind of what we're looking at there. And we have more to the south and east. And just the idea. So the RRFS may be a little bit wetter, therefore a smidge snowier than our forecast. But I want people to understand what we're looking at so they understand. And again, that is a really brand new high-resolution model. Is it correct? We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out.
You know, last week, it did really well for snow. It was over-amplified for the freezing rain.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of the models
We were all over. Everything was over-amplified for freezing rain. That's just a weird thing to get into. All right, let's continue on. Tyler, I'm going to let you walk through the next one. We're going to go into the regional, which is going to be the NAM.
Okay.
So this is the wider grid spacing NAM, not the 3K. This one will go fully out through the whole system. I'll bring it back.
Yeah.
Tyler, this is 10 a.m. Friday morning for you. I'm going to bring you up with screen and media so you can get yourself there. There you go.
Okay, so as Matt was saying, this is looks like the 12Z of the NAM.
Correct.
So we are at, looks like Friday afternoon. Yeah, Friday afternoon. There's going to be some flurries in western parts of the state developing late Friday. Again, some flurries are possible Friday evening for us in Central Virginia as the overall, weather system is developing across the area. This is Friday night getting into Saturday morning. You have light snow ongoing for the southern half of the state, especially getting into North Carolina. Meanwhile, you do have rain off the coast developing as well. And as we go through the day on Saturday, looks like light snow is going to be ongoing for areas along and south of Interstate 64 and along and west of Interstate 85, at least according to this model. And then as we continue across the region, across the day, you have that deepening low pressure off of North Carolina right there. Ongoing, you have snow really picking up for eastern North Carolina with the deeper blues. That indicates higher intensity for snow that is possible across the area. Now, Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, light snow continues across Central Virginia, and there's going to be moderate snow ongoing for central North Carolina. Again, for the Carolinas, they're going to be dealing with a lot more in the way of snow versus last weekend. It was much more of an ice problem for them. And as we get into Saturday night, into Sunday morning, at least according to this model, this is going to be basically wrapping up maybe some flurries in eastern counties, but this is Sunday morning at 1 a.m. Again, according to one model.
Right.
All right. So that's I want to definitely stress that this is just one model's thinking of this weekend.
And the two models that kind of show not as much were both a NAM derivative, right? And then the new one that we showed was the new replacement NAM, the RRFS. But let's go into total QPF. We're not going to continue to go as crazy as we've done, but this one, as you can see, still has a lot of missing snow for Richmond here, right? With more down to the south. Folks, we're going to make this a little bit quicker just because I know your time is valuable, and we also want to get to the temperatures as well. We'll grab the RDPS, which is the medium resolution Canadian, just to show you what they're looking at for moisture. It's 0.1 for Petersburg. Really kind of nothing here, 0.4 down. Again, 0.1 times 18, let's use that as our number. That is 1.8 inches. I mean, that's if we just, again, without taking the whole 80% type of thing. All right, so then people are going to say, yeah, but Maddie and Tyler, you're not looking at the European. The European is the #1 model. I've been told it's the best model ever. So, folks, I'll bring that up here for you. Again, we'll just kind of run in. This is Sunday night. The storm is completely over at this point. If you don't believe me, I'll show it to you just so you can see. There you go. It's wrapped up and off to the east, right? So this is now Sunday night. Now we're going to go back in here. 0.2 in Richmond, 0.3, 0.5, 0.6. Again, a lot less than some of those earlier maps that you have seen. So 0.2, let's just take it at face value, times it by 18, that's 3.6. Down South Petersburg, that would be 5.4. Again, take 80% off, you get the drill here of what we're looking at. So that's one of the things. Then you're saying, well, what about the American, the GFS American? Because that's definitely going to show us that it's, Team Snow. Actually, GFS
that
American
has
backed off a lot, right? This is the same model that 2 days ago had 29 inches for Richmond. JB and I showed this last night, and 48 inches in Salisbury. Again, the models continue to trend south and east from 0Z last night to 6Z this morning to 12Z now. So that's why, because I already had questions out there. Yeah, but XYZ person or the weather service or that, they have way more than you. Okay. I'm telling you, Kyler's telling you, Jessica, Madison, we're telling you what we see in the models and how things are shaping up. It's, look, this is what we're seeing, right? And we just showed you a bunch of models that are showing you lower amounts now. I mean, so I'm not going to, I don't want to say I, because we work on this together, but I will be on at 4 o'clock. Tyler was just on at noon. Tyler didn't walk on the air and go, well, we're calling for this, but I think it's really going to be, 5 to 10 for Richmond. We're not going to do that.
No.
I'm going to tell you what the forecast is based on the data that we're looking at. We don't wishcast, Ty.
No, not at all. And it was incredible. Earlier this week, the GFS was putting out incredibly high numbers that was being shared kind of like all over Facebook. So that is what we're navigating through now, Matt. Anytime there's a big potential for seeing snow, we're also dealing with the fact that there's posts out there from just one computer weather model run versus looking through all the trends and looking through several models, and obviously analyzing all that. We do every day.
I'm going to pull this right back up, Ty, because, so we just showed you 0.1 for Richmond. This was the model, the same model, the GFS 12Z Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And so
that would be over a foot of snow.
Oh, no, this was here. Here's the Kuchera, which takes into account the
this is over 2 feet of snow.
This is what some of you viewers, and we love you, y'all saw this, and you're like, this is a big thing. And we kept saying, you got to temper those expectations. This is why. You got to, you want to look at everything. All right, my soapbox is over, Ty. Let's, whoops, I don't know who that is. There's you. I hit the wrong thing. Okay, let's go back into topic number 2, temperatures, which brings us back to our question, when are normal temperatures going to be around here to melt this ice? Well, Tyler, any guess? Because we might as well guess on this one.
Well, I know what the answer is, but how about we just wait on that for a little bit?
Go ahead.
Kind of teasing here. So we're continuing with the Arctic air mass here, but again, the brunt of it certainly is in Canada, and then in North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and even looks like Maine, seeing incredibly cold air this afternoon. We're sitting at 28.
Yep.
As Matt has been talking about, we've been getting into low 30s, which is leading to limited melting of that ongoing snow and ice. But the problem is we get cold. By the way, this morning, Matt, we got down to 9 degrees. And I think that's why I had such a hard time clearing off my car because my car and a lot of cars were completely iced over.
Yeah.
So that's where that ice scraper comes in handy, along with, obviously warming up the car for like 10 minutes. That's what we've been dealing with this whole week.
Right.
So, yeah, this is going to continue for the rest of the work week, the Arctic air mass, particularly for the upper Midwest, the Northeast, parts of the mid-Atlantic here. But you are going to notice this dip developing in this graphic, and that is associated with this winter storm that Matt and I were just heavily talking about that's going to be impacting us this weekend.
Right. And that's one of the reasons why this isn't the proverbial 10-to-1 ratio for rain and snow or, that kind of thing. This is much more accelerated. This is upwards of 15-to-1, 18-to-1. So super powdery, super fluffy snow. But because of the Arctic air, it's also going to pile up on our roads really quickly. There won't be any melt. Like a lot of times the snow falls and it hits the road and it melts. That is not going to be the case. This is just going to immediately start, becoming slick. Yeah, for sure. All right.
Not only that, but I will say, looking at 850 millibar temperatures today, there's not going to be that warm nose of air developing to lead to sleet and freezing rain like last weekend. So cold at the surface and cold above us. This is going to be an all-snow event this weekend.
Which is great. So therefore, minimal power outages. The only thing that might have some power issues would be if the winds get super gusty. You have some weakened limbs from the past couple of storms. But those would be super sporadic. But one thing's for sure. I mean, it is going to be cold and windy on Saturday night and Sunday. I just backed that up too quick though. But the 8 to 14 day temperature showed we're staying cold. So to answer the question, when are we going to see normal temperatures? You can see that normal high for this time of year, unfortunately, is 48, and there is not that at all. The normal low is 29, and there is not that at all. We will have some melting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but the problem here, Tyler, is we're adding potentially 2 to 4 inches of snow on top of this, so we got to melt that first before we can melt the ice. This stuff's going to be here for a while.
It is. Yeah.
I think we have another question. Oh, let's go to it.
Excellent.
I was just going to say this question. Wow, there we go.
Yeah, so I would say yes.
Yeah, this means a lot more snow days for the kids. I think that all schools should be going into virtual learning.
Virtual learning.
Yeah, I mean, and I know that's difficult for some kids because of internet access and stuff like that. And, sometimes a child might be stuck in a certain area and the parent can't help them because they're working or whatever. But, I mean, if not, we're going to be adding either, like I know Chesterfield County in the past has added like 5 minutes to the start of the school day, 5 minutes to the end, or we're going to be taking away some of those, half days down the road. It's just something to keep in mind. I think we want to, I think schools could be out. Gosh, should I say this all next week? I mean,
I'm not sure.
Look,
I mean, again, we're not on the school board.
We're not. But
when people come to me and ask, "Are we going to have school tomorrow?" and I go, "Well, I'm not on that staff."
Right, we're not the superintendent, right?
Right, exactly. I would say Monday and Tuesday. I think next week, all schools are going to be out.
I mean, unless
at least Monday and
unless
Tuesday.
VDOT gets out there and pretty much sands every neighborhood, because, like I said, my entire block where a bus does go up and down is glare ice.
It is.
I showed people, young Lucas Becker yesterday, skating on my block, literally ice skating and playing hockey. So
that video was fantastic, man. I didn't realize it was in your neighborhood.
Yeah,
but,
I mean,
people are really getting into the ice hockey, the figure skating around here.
It really
safely.
Is. All right, Ty, I'm going to leave with this one more time. Again, this is our current snowfall map that we are forecasting for. You and I will go back in the Weather Center. We'll continue to look at some of the new data coming on in, but we're fairly comfortable with this right now. Dusting the 2 north of Ashland, a very hard cutoff. Fredericksburg north, there won't be much more than flurries. You look at Richmond, Farmville, Petersburg, Nottoway County, 2 to 4 across the Middle Peninsula, Northern Neck. By the way, Northern Neck, if you are west of Tappahannock, you're dusting the 2. If you're east of Tappahannock, you're 2 to 4. And then as you get into south of Dinwiddie County, Waverly, Wakefield, Ivor, Emporia, most of Brunswick County, Mecklenburg County, 4 to 8, all the way into Virginia Beach. Is there anything, Tyler, that you would like to say? Because we have really gotten long-winded on this one today.
No, I don't think so. I mean, again, the timing of the storm and the overall snowfall forecast may may be adjusted a little bit more between now and the actual event, just based on what the latest computer weather model runs show us. And again, Matt will have, an updated look at everything starting at 4 o'clock this afternoon.
And you're going to help me because we already now are short on time. So,
Yeah,
all right.
absolutely.
For everyone watching us, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We love doing Beyond the Forecast with you. And Tyler, let's get back to the work because we got to go earn our keep, as they say.
Yeah, absolutely.